Hi everybody, welcome back to the November card class, and we're doing our fun fold for this video. And I just love this card, and I had totally nothing to do with designing it. It was all from Stampin' Up. They have a class out there on the website store that you can purchase that shows you this fun fold, lots of tips, and a cute little frame, and then 2 additional cards. So I learned so much from that video. So it's 2.5 hours long. It shows you how to cut, how to put things together, and all sorts of tips. Even for me and a pretty advanced stamper, I learned a lot of things that I enjoyed. And I kind of simplified, I'm going to simplify a little bit for our card class, but this is the one I actually made at the virtual event. And it's totally made with just 1/2 a sheet of designer series paper, in this case Traditions of Christmas, although you could use any paper, but it folds so that it opens in a fun way, and you get to see, of course, both sides of the papers, which is always fun to see. Now I didn't glue my inside in because when we talk about the inside, there's several different ways you can do the inside, but this actually folds under this cluster right here, so that's what gives you that fun opening. So let's get started, and hopefully I will not lose my brain here that's jet lagged, and I'll be able to pull this off. I hopefully have all the pieces, and if you have the kits, you have all the pieces, and also they're ready for card class tomorrow if anyone wants to come. We actually do have some openings this time. Okay, I'm going to use like an old retired paper that I had, because I had just enough of the Traditions of Christmas for all the card class people. So I happen to have this sitting around, and it was just the last one left from, I can't remember the name of this paper, Mixed Florals or something like that, which recently retired. But I'm going to use it for my sample because it does have Christmas colors in it, and black, of course, goes with anything. So I'm going to hold my directions up for just a minute there for anybody that wants a screenshot, and hopefully I'll follow along here. This is card number 3, and the measurements are 5.5 by 12. So you're using a whole 12 by 12 piece of paper and then cutting it at 5.5. So you can get 2 cards out of a sheet and score at 4, 8, and 10. So quite easy. And then we're going to add some gold foil and some white on the inside. Okay, so these are the folds right here. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, 4, 8, and 10. Right, so this would be the 4, this would be the 8, and then 10 right there. And that gives you this one piece here that folds in to solidify that, I guess, that fold that we're going to tuck under. So that piece actually is going to get glued together. So if you can see that there, that piece is glued together. I want to make sure I don't mess up here. And then this piece is going to tuck under like that. So my 2-inch pieces here are going to go together at the end. So we will just go ahead and glue those together. You could cut it off if you wanted to, but that just it makes it a little sturdier for that piece that gets tucked under. So there's the tucked under place, and then our big cluster goes on top here. And I'm going to tell you now and then, when you do put your cluster on, make sure your adhesive is only on the left side, because that piece tucks under, so we don't want any adhesive under there. So, all right, that part's done. Again, I'll show you the fold there. So it folds like a regular card, and it's going to be 4 inches, not our usual 4 1/4. So that's 4 inches, 8 inches, and then that last little bit gets folded in half, and then that's the part that gets tucked. All right, then we got lots of pieces here. So let's see what we should do. Should we do the inside first? That might be easiest to start with. So if you have a card kit, you'll have this gold foil, and it will be embossed with the traditional wreath embossing folder, which is really, really pretty. We don't really see the whole wreath, but we're only going to look at the edge anyways, so we're good to glue that on the center of the card. So put that right in the center. Okay, so there are some options at this point with this. You could take a photograph, and this is what they did with the class. They put a photograph here and then put one of these die cuts on top like that. And she had a really cute picture of her 3 dogs under a Christmas tree, all dressed up for Christmas, and that would be so, so cute. The other thing you could do is put a greeting in here. There's tons of greetings in this mega suite. It actually has 2 stamp sets and 2 die sets. So we've got the traditional labels, below those mix and match greetings, and then the greenery. So that's what you could do. And I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to glue that on actually, because I'm not sure if I want to put a picture or a greeting in there. So I'll leave that off for now. All right, let's work on our cluster on, oh, you know what, I forgot an important thing. Back up, and that is to put the ribbon on first. And because my glue isn't dry yet, I should have read the directions. I can probably grab that off. Yeah, and here's a little tip. Twist and rotate if you have a problem like that, like I did. And I'm going to use my tape runner, I think, if I can find a tape runner. Here's a really old tape runner I have. Totally forgot about this, but I'm going to run this right down the center of my card in the middle, and I'm going to meet in the center too, because it's going to be covered up by that gold piece, and all my mistakes are going to be covered up. So if you have the written directions, I would follow those because they're probably more accurate, and see that meets right in the center, and then that will be covered over, and I'll just add a little bit more glue in. There we go. There's my ribbon piece. Okay. Should have looked at my sample. So the ribbon, yes. And then she put a little handcrafted by on the back too. So we probably won't do that in class because we won't have time. But that is so cute. I thought that really looked cute. And then our pieces for the center. Okay, so now the center's done. Working our cluster. So our cluster has a whole bunch of pieces here. So it's got, and these are cut from the Designer Series papers. So we are going to take, let me read my directions here. Cover with the gold embossed foil. Front, cut the die cut spray and the gold leaves in half. Okay, I've already cut my leaves in half because I actually have two halves right there already cut. So, and then I will need to cut these in half as well. So I think actually I only need one of these. Oh, I see why I have 2, because I have partials. These are like partials. You don't want to waste that pretty paper, so I'd cut a couple partials there. So that's a partial piece, and then that's the good half. And this poinsettia is really easy to cut right in half. So get rid of that piece, although I probably use that in another project, so why throw it away? All right, so I have my two halves there. And then we're gonna build this onto this label, and that again is from the traditional labels. And I'm gonna just kind of glue things on the back of that label. So I'm putting a little liquid glue, and we're going to tuck that behind like that, and we're kind of twisting it a little bit so it looks like it's going slightly diagonal like that. It's been a while since I made this card, so that's why I'm having a little trouble remembering the order of everything, but we're doing okay so far. And then we've got some gold pieces here, and again we'll tuck those on the other side. So add a little glue there, tuck that. So we're making a fun little cluster. And then some on the other side as well. Okay, so we've got all the pieces that go on the back, and before I work on the rest of the back, I am going to, because I'm using the liquid glue and it's a little floppy, I'm going to grab my Stampin' Dimensionals and kind of tack these down. But remember, I'm only going to put them on the left side, so I need to decide which is my left side, which is over here, and I kind of tack those down so they stay a little better. And I'll add some more later too. Okay, so I've got my cluster almost finished. I just have my ribbon and my greetings. So I'm going to add the ribbon. Let's see, do I want to, I guess I can put the tape runner right on the ribbon there. And that's going to go towards the bottom, I think, of my label. And then I'm going to trim that a little bit because it's got a raggedy edge. And then stamp my little greeting here. So I've got "'Tis the Season" and just a 1/2 inch little strip. I have a whole big container full of 1/2 inch strips because that's what you get when you cut off your cardstock to make a panel. "'Tis the season." All right, let me close that ink pad. And that's going to go right on top of my ribbon. And I think I've got my cluster here. And if you want to, you can add some of those really pretty traditional sequins that go along with that bundle because they're pretty. If you have a kit, I didn't put them in the kits this month because I gave you a whole row of them last month, so hopefully you still have those. All right, now it's time to put it on. And how am I going to do this so I don't, maybe I'll just put some other dimensionals, kind of tuck them in there because I don't want to. We'll put one at the bottom there. And then we'll pull off the other ones that I already did. And then I should put one towards the top too. There you go. That one's kind of showing a bit. So I'm going to grab my pick tool. I like to poke at them with the pick tool when I want to get them under there. Poke it under there. Okay, see if that worked. Okay, now can I still open my card? That is the question. Yes, there it is. And then I can tuck it back under there. So pretty. I love this. So this card goes to somebody special, remember. So the easy ones we did in the first video can go to anybody. Those were quick and cute, but these take a little bit of more time because we had to die cut, or I had to die cut all the pieces to put on this cluster. But isn't that a cool layout and fun fold so you can see both sides of the paper and have that fun little gold piece on the inside. And again, you can use either a photograph or another greeting on the inside. So there's my blog if you want to purchase the class from Stampin' Up. The class is $30, but it's well worth it to make the 4 projects and learn a whole bunch. And there's a new class that will be next week, I believe. And even if the class has already happened, you can still just watch the replay, which is what I like to do so I can pause it and go at my own pace. So just something to think about because that's really a fun thing to do when the weather gets cold. We've got snow on the ground, and I can't wait to do the next card class from Stampin' Up! And I hope you enjoyed just seeing one of the projects that we did in that class. Okay, that is it for November. Hopefully some of you guys can come to class tomorrow and we'll do this in person. Otherwise, I'll see you next month, or I'll be sharing various projects throughout the month. Happy crafting!